101
101?
Dalmatians. No, wait. 101 episodes. My bad.
Dalmatians.
Watch out. That's probably get a copyright strike on that.
Oh, no. Have you ever seen 101 Dalmatians?
The cartoon?
The Disney cartoon, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember Cruella de Vil's car was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those ye old, really, really long cars that has like the two spare wheels on the front, on the side of the front of the hood. I always like that car. I mean, it's totally a bad guy car. It's not like it's like a gangster car or something, but it look cool.
Yeah, I mean, her name is Cruella de Vil.
Right. It's like when you're talking about a name.
Right. Names and
embodying
energy.
something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, trying to think on the last podcast we talked about the name, and the name carries the signature, and and in the United States it is kind of like I say in the United States, no, I guess Britain, right? Like at some point that carried over into your last name, being your profession.
Yeah. The Smith and the Baker and the.
I literally knew somebody.
I know.
You know that.
I was going to say it. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say it. I don't want to verbalize. Yes. So it's interesting. Sometimes one should not verbalize names if you do not want to sink in with the energy, because the easiest way to sink in with specific energy would be to name the name. But I say name the name, spoken word being projected out.
Yeah.
And it's basically kind of like an activation, right? Like, in fact, all of our words are actually activations.
Right.
This is go back to our language episode. Like, when you speak, you activate whatever your speech pattern is.
Right.
But that goes back to the meaning goes so much deeper, because the speech pattern, remember when we talked about splitting reality into duality. So even if you say the positive thing, like, oh, pure abundance, right? As if you were meaning it with a dualistic split of, because there's something else on the other side, which is lack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your words of pure abundance actually carry the entire range of possibilities. In fact, and then of course the density, and then therefore wins over.
Yeah. No, it feels like they're just words and topics to almost avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I ever met this person. I'm sure we're both thinking of the same name, because I've never known anybody with that very specific name.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know. But I'm like, I didn't want to say the name because I don't know how many people out there with that last name there are.
Oh, yes.
I don't think it's terribly common.
Yeah, it's probably not common.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, right. And then, like, how much of your destiny is tied to the fact that you're named something?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be. I mean, it used to be really, really tied to it. I mean, like in as much as like, oh, you're the baker's son, so you're the next generation of baker, almost whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
Farmer's a common name.
Yeah, in India, right? They still have that. Like, their classes are usually divided by last name too.
Yeah,
which is
that's
a whole thing.
I was talking to someone and I was like, how can they tell which caste somebody's in? They're like, oh, just by the last name. You just know by the last name.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, you very easily learn that, these last names are this class, and these last names, and these last names, and these last names. I guess. And then I'm like, well, what if you just changed your last name?
Yeah, in the United States, you can just change your last name to anything you want.
Come over here and, now you're Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker. I don't know. I don't know. Caste system. We could do an episode on the caste system, probably. That's bizarre.
No, I don't want to do an episode on caste system. Right now, this is what I thought. It's very obvious that the energetic system calls so much scrutiny of what is that you should, not from the standpoint of good or perspective of bad, but standpoint of if you should you dive into this thing, because the amount of awareness that at least I have of what it means to connect to that energetic block, like I can see that dive. And so like it's very it becomes very obvious, like, oh yeah, no, I don't even want to say the name because I can understand what that means to dive into that energetic property.
Yeah.
And so like at least to me, I don't know if it is to you, but it
Well,
becomes
yeah.
very obvious, like, oh no, I could dive into this, but I don't want to.
Yeah. There are people who will try to bring up topics to me, and I'm like, mm-mm. Wake me up in yeah, I think you know what the topics are. Wake me up in 4 years, and then give me a 30-second summary. If I don't care right now, whatever it is right now, it'll go. I don't know. I don't even want to know. It won't. It won't. It doesn't matter.
No, but it's the what I want to say is, to me,
Well,
the sovereignty
yeah.
and the power behind your energetic input and the responsibility behind your energetic input is extremely obvious to me.
Yeah.
Because like
I know I could get riled up about stuff too, and I'm like, I don't even want to put myself in a position where I could.
yeah.
So part of it's self-defense in that sense.
Yeah, which is fine. I think is fine to begin with if you're still struggling keeping sovereignty without having your energy be dragged down. But if you know that you're likely to get riled up over a specific topic, then maybe the exploration is, well, let's avoid that topic. But then what is it underneath
Yeah,
of it?
no, that's true. That's the deeper thing. I mean, it's all on safety. It's all unsafe. That's blindingly obvious what that's coming from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then it's opening yourself up to a welcoming of that feeling, or the welcoming the child who feels unsafe. But yeah, speaking of the child who feels unsafe, so our topic today, is obviously already displayed on the cover of the video, but surprise, is Edgar Cayce.
Oh,
What do you know? And so I might have brought up these like little aspects about him, but I figured we would do a whole episode to just bring it all together, because like we have 100 episodes now, and who knows which aspect is on what bucket.
right.
But so like it's just I find the whole thing with him so crazy and so fascinating and so synchronicity related that that's when I get giddy about the world, is when I come across these synchronicities and they're just so visceral.
Mm-hmm.
And I just get, I don't know, I just get like a child on the playground for the first time, like exploring the world. And so that's how it makes me feel. So I have a special connection with him, not because I knew that I would, just through the world of synchronicities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about what that connection like has me do with him, and then how I interact with him and things like that. So,
yep.
So one, he's originally from Kentucky,
right,
from Hopkinsville, Kentucky,
which is we're in Kentucky. That's a couple hours away.
Yeah. Did you know that he was one before we started on a path of spiritual awareness? Did you know of Edgar Cayce?
No, I don't think so. I heard the name early on during our path because he's frequently brought up, but no, I didn't know him.
Yeah. I'm going to be talking because just I have such an admiration for him, and I have all these stories, and then I guess you were there for some of those stories. So make sure you chime in case I like blabbering on too much. But so when I first got slapped in the face in 2017, one of the first things that started happening to me is I started channeling. And by channeling, I mean like I had these profound texts that came into my mind. I say text, speech, text, what do you want to call it? And I decided to start typing some of it. So a lot of, to begin with, was typed. And then I started recording some of it through the channeled, videos that I had. But to begin with, I had no clue, right? Like you're living a normal life and then something happens to you
And like a radio has been turned on in your brain.
yeah, and the radio's turned on and all of a sudden things are different and you think you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I was familiar enough with spiritual awakening or like the the other side, or maybe now I realize it's not the other side, it's other dimensional frequencies, that I knew like, oh, well, ghosts do exist. And then now I know, oh no, they just exist on a different frequency band, and what we call the ghost is just basically an emanation of someone on a different frequency band, right? But I believed in ghosts just because I had ghost experiences, and I believed in psychics because certain psychics were real, just because I knew that they could tell things that are way too personal for anybody to know, right? Now, I'm not saying that all people who are psychics are not scam artists, and I'm not saying that they all are not, but a phenomena exists and you cannot disprove it, right? So, and of course, in Ukraine, there's babki, and babki are kind of like witches, but they're not, witches.
Without the hats.
Yeah, they're just like babka. Babushka means like grandmother, and so babka would be like a slang term for grandmother, and so usually they're grandmother aged women who either do cards like tarot or just other cards like regular cards, or sometimes like the one that tried to help me with my fear of darkness did things with clay. But we had to drive out way out into a village to see her. And honestly, that was more terrifying than being scared of the darkness.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cause like it was me and my friend, Ruslan, who,
Yeah.
and he would pee at night. And so his mother and my mother decided that all four of us are going to drive out and see her. And she's in some village, in Ukraine, like probably like, let's say like an hour away from Sumy, right? So like we're an hour out of the city. So it's pretty rural. And not even like, and she's in some hut, I say hut, but like a village like home. And she wants the parents to leave. And so the parents step out and it's just him and I alone with her in this like if I had to picture a witch's house in Ukraine, it would not be like it, because like it's like huge. They're not trusses, but they're.
Is she gonna throw you in the stove?
Well, no. Like the walls are not stucco or solid wallpaper. They're like the big. So in Ukraine, like the older houses are made out of these huge wood things, like almost like a log cabin.
Okay.
And then you mud up the joints.
Yeah.
And so it's combination of like the mud and then like the huge rounds of things, and it's short, and it's like in cartoons when you're going to draw a witch's house, usually it's on legs, so you can actually come up and then walk around, the cartoon that I'm talking about. But this would be not dissimilar. And so him and I are inside and she's doing something with clay in the water, and I don't know, whatever, and the fact that the parents are outside is kind of actually the more of a fear factor for me than the clay.
Right.
It was really strange. So I don't know anything about her other than she was scary. But there was another one that was actually in the city, and she was super legit, like all the way legit to the point where she can control her destiny of her family line, and like they were like one of the richest families in the area, but you could tell why. And she did work with needle for healing. And so I remember her frequency, and I'm like, okay, yeah, she was a super, super good healer. So side note, wait, how did I get distracted with that? Oh, Edgar Cayce.
Yeah.
So when I started channeling, because I had no clue what was happening, the thing that came up to me first thing, and I think it's on purpose, right? Like he came out of the blue to me because he was someone who channeled.
Right.
And so he was my first like, oh, look, here's a human being and something happened to him that is similar that is happening to me. Therefore, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. What's interesting is do you remember what year he was? 1920s? Is it the 20s?
Or he was born?
I don't know when he.
I can see when he was born. I don't know.
So he's known as the sleeping prophet.
Yeah,
because he would go to sleep and then channel out audibly in his sleep, and then he had someone else transcribe it. And so there are the records from the Edgar Cayce Institute,
Yeah, it's
ARE,
ARE.
Association for Research and Enlightenment.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I
they
think
have
so.
all like 20-something thousand of his messages.
And they're all on kinds of topics.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on just
Yeah, so okay, he was born March 18th of 1877.
okay.
So that's
A
a
while
long
ago.
time ago. Right, but that's slightly before no, it's April. And then he died January 3rd, 1945. So before the war ended.
But when was he born?
It is 1877.
What day?
March 18th.
Okay, close to the.
Yeah, and so unbeknownst to, so he came across, because he was a channeler, and I'm like, oh, wait, look, what? So my thought process is, wait, what is happening to him? Like, and I wanted to understand what was happening to him, and they're like, oh, well, he channels. I say they, but so I figured out, okay, there's this thing called channeling, and basically channeling is you're able to open yourself up to different dimensional frequency and have various messages or entities or beings come through to you and communicate with you, right? And depending on who you connect to, it sounds pretty prophetic.
Right. And it's like, I mean, I had it happen to me. Sometimes it's like a monologue. Sometimes it's back and forth dialogue. Sometimes it's just like what I call like packets of knowing. It's like it would take, a paragraph to convey this message. And instead it's just like this boop. And you just get the whole message at once. Sometimes it's visual. It probably depends on both ends of that, who's getting the message and who's sending it.
Yeah. And so with him, the reason why he was called the sleeping prophet is because he remembered a lot of his past lives. I think he was super gifted as a child, because since then we have went to Hopkinsville and we went to his hometown and we went to the museum and we kind of like tried to read up on him and study on him. But it just, for background knowledge. But as a child, he was gifted, and he remembered at some point one of his past lives where he had access to all of this information. And based on his opinion, he decided that in that life, he used it for not good. Like he misused his power.
Right.
Meaning, I think whoever he was or is, or whatever you want to believe it, he has been incarnated over and over and over as someone with enormous amount of reach and power, like across multitude of frequencies, cutting across time and space. And then basically, because of that skill, has been able to use that and utilize various ways.
Yeah. And like as a conscious thing, he like was, I don't know if corrupted was the right word. He used it in a bad or nefarious way.
He decided that was how he used it.
And so he explicitly, in order to explicitly not allow himself to do that, he's like, well, if I'm asleep, then my conscious brain can't try to corrupt the message. So I'll go to sleep. I'll channel this out, and then it's just straight through me without any sort of interpretation or anything added on top. It's just straight from the source.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think he thought he was corrupting messages. I think he was taking the messages and if you receive these higher messages and then you're active, your pain body and trauma body is still active and you have not explored it yet, by default, you would take the message. And then as a channeler, quite literally what happens is the reason why it's called, well, and like I'm not necessarily in love with the word channeling, but that's just what the industry calls it now. But the reason why you get it and it sounds the way it sounds is because the purpose of that message is being channeled through your lens, right? Your particular, like from the last podcast, your lens of emanation, right? You're emanating a message that is one, right? Really, all messages are one, right? Like there's one divine source, there's one divine teaching, but then you take it and you filter it through your own psyche or your own pain bodies or your own interpretations, your cultural beliefs, whatever you want to call it. And then basically what comes out is if you take most of the people who channel the source or the divine source, or anyone who, even extraterrestrials whose goal is to have us rise to a higher level of consciousness, they're transmitting divine source, right? And the words that they would use would be different, or the words that you would use or the words I would use would be different. But if you rise above the frequency and say, okay, well, if I had to summarize it in 1 or 2 words, what is it? Well, duh. Everything basically is going to narrow down to, you have to open your heart to truth and release everything that is not, right? Like their entire teachings is basically revolves around that. But then like in everybody has a different approach of how they do it. And, we're 100 podcasts into all these nuances about how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think he wasn't actually corrupting the message through his words. I think what he was doing is he was knowingly taking it, and through his conscious pain, body, unprocessed trauma, was choosing to basically use it against whatever, humanity or whatever.
Yeah.
So the sleep in profit part is he wasn't actually asleep, but he very quickly could go into a deep meditative state. He would lay down on his couch in his office, fold his arms, and he would just basically, through the control of breathing or through a specific form of breathing, he would go into a meditative, almost you would say hypnotic state.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that, his secretary would sit next to him. Right, back then there were secretaries. I don't know if he called them secretaries, but he would have a secretary. She would sit next to him, and if somebody wrote in a question, she would read a question to him, and then he would verbalize an answer, and she would write it down.
Right.
Or if it was just a session where he wanted to channel higher source, he has a lot of channels from Jesus, he has a lot of channeling from Egypt, he has a lot of channeling from general healing modalities.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there were generalized channelings, they would write them down. Yeah. But he has them all cataloged. They have them all cataloged, all digitized.
Yeah.
And through a subscription to an IRE, you can basically access them all.
Yeah. He got so I guess famous that people would just write into him,
mm-hmm.
and he would, they would write, oh, I've got arthritis. What should I do? And so there a lot of his channels are medical related, and
mm-hmm.
here's what's good for arthritis. Here's what's good for gout. Here's what's good for whatever, whatever problem people had back in the day.
The interesting part, and this is, I think, the disconnect that the IRE is struggling with, is because he was born in 1877 and died in 45, the way they spoke, professional speaking and professional writing,
it sounds completely different.
Is just not human language 2025.
Did you, on top of the fact that he's channeling something, did you ever listen to that
lady? No, I never listened to that lady.
There's this. I'll have the link in the video in the show notes. But there's this lady who was born in the mid 1800s, something like that, and she was still alive at a point where recording video and audio was just possible. So I think they recorded her in the 1930s, and she's old at this point. So she was born in the early 1800s.
Yeah, I wonder if they have recordings of Edgar Cayce.
There's one recording of Edgar Cayce, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's not great. It's some sort of wax cylinder recording or something.
Oh, okay.
But this lady, just the way she sounds is so
archaic.
It's archaic, but at the same time, it's I don't even know.
Well, there's a word in there that you said that you liked that you were going to try.
Flim-flam. She said flim-flam.
Which is nonsense?
Nonsense, yeah.
Nonsense.
And I'm like, I'm going to bring this word back.
Yeah, flim-flam.
But,
we already say flippity-flop.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but we say it a lot.
Where am I going with this? It's A, old people sound different. And B, in that when you're 90 years old, you don't sound like you sound when you're 20 years old, even though you put giant air quotes around it, the same person, right?
Yeah.
Life experiences and whatever change the way that you sound, the words you use and whatever. And this
Mm-hmm.
she was I think the first female senator. So this is an educated, put together person, right?
Yeah.
She said she remembered when they were rounding up the Native Americans to kick them off of whatever land she was on, and most of them didn't have horses or buggies, so there's walking out, I guess, west into whatever reservation area is the next one there.
I have a hard time dealing with that one.
Yeah, I do too. That's just awful. But I don't remember where I was going with that, other than
How she sounds.
yeah, she sounds very it's old fashioned, but at the same time, she's really kind of spry for her age, and
Oh, yeah.
and it's weird. I'll put it in the show, in the notes. You should listen to it too.
So his writing, one, it's channeled, so like a lot of it has these like prophetic terms, right? And then two, it's turn of the century era, so there's that.
Yeah.
So I think why they're struggling is they're having a hard time having, even though the catalogs are immense, having it be relatable to current time. Even though information,
Yeah.
is,
they're all
is
tagged. It's like, oh, you want something for,
yeah, they're all, so you can go in there and you can search, and then it will pull up.
Yeah, here's the dozen that he did on pneumonia or whatever.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times what they like when people do is when they take his material and they dive into it and they ended up publishing a modern day interpretation or interpretation, or like a book on it.
Yeah.
They really like when you do that. But yeah.
What's interesting is that as medical science has progressed, so many of his cures and remedies and solutions to these medical problems have been validated.
Yeah.
And science will be like, oh, it turns out that, I don't know what, this leaf is actually good for this illness. And it's like, oh yeah, 100 years ago, Edgar Cayce was saying that.
Yeah, no, everything is legit. Everything is legit, except that it's almost like, witchy, not witchy, but what would be the non-derogatory term for it? Yeah, that people are like, oh, well, why am I going to make a compress of cranberries and dandelions and, brew it for 3 hours and then, apply it to my wound for 5 days? Do you know what I mean? Like, people are just, we're not like herbalists anymore.
Yeah, that sounds like something crazy.
Yeah, well, it's just, one, we're just not in touch with nature. We're not going to go pick cranberries and dandelions.
Right.
And it's strange. But no, everything is super legit.
Yeah.
If you have the subscription, you can go in there, you can actually do like, headache, right? And then basically what then the site will do is it will reference every single channeled message that he has where the word headache is mentioned. And you can kind of read, some of it will be remedies, some of it will be like underlying causes of it, because if it's a external idea of a headache, it's actually coming from a deeper infested density.
Right.
And so his goal is to just kind of allow yourself to see it all the way through. But yeah, so that is how I come across him. I come across him, and I guess I get the subscription. I start reading some of his stuff, which is difficult to read. But I think the reason why he was there to begin with, for me at least, was because I thought I was going crazy, and he was my first like liaison. And now I realize my guide into like, no, look, this is what people do. Like, not, you might not be familiar with this, but look, here's my example of it.
Well, what's interesting is that he was devoutly religious Christian. I don't remember which denomination, but he was able to reconcile to himself, at least, this ability, which some Christians would say is some sort of devil stuff, or there's some sort of demon possession doing it, or it's a hoax, or whatever it is. A lot of Christians would say, yeah, that's bad. If he's speaking messages from the beyond, that's we don't go there. But he was able to reconcile that with himself. I don't remember how.
Well, no, I mean, some of the stuff he channeled, a lot of the stuff he channeled was basically conversations with Jesus, like Jesus teachings, clarification of Jesus teachings.
Okay, I've been selected somehow, and I am It's called the sleeping prophet, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
am getting messages from God. So now it's my duty to
Yeah.
relay these messages.
Yeah. And this was super interesting because as I, so I don't know what, well, I should say first or I should say second, but so I connected with him. I did not realize I connected with him. I didn't even realize there was such thing as like a guide that would connect with you and bring you the right stuff to help you along. But without me even knowing that he was there, right? Obviously in his etheric form. And so since then, I now know that he is and then was, and so still is in a multidimensional form, a priest in a temple in Egypt. And so if I would wager to guess that a lot of stuff that he channeled from the Egyptian era was actually channeling a higher version of him that has always remained in kind of like an overseer of this temple in Egypt. And then his dimensional interpretation of his reality here was able to access a lot of the knowledge that higher self had.
Yeah.
And for all I know, he actually says that he was a priest in Egypt. But I know now that he oversees a temple there. And then multidimensionally, it's not on a 3-dimensional plane. And multidimensionally, I can visit it. And I actually, anytime I'm struggling, like the Jed thing, that we had an episode on the Cambodian Jed, whenever I tuned into it and I took over it in order to shut off the inappropriate density that was flowing through it, I had a hard time holding it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so much, like my body is just not prepared for this much, onslaught for this long. And so I asked him for help. And then, like he immediately steps in from a multidimensional standpoint and is able to help me bracket it off and hold it. And then like work through the frequency and change it.
About Egypt, he has said that there is something buried under the left paw of the Sphinx, which, not that they're ever.
He predicted all of these discoveries that will happen in Egypt.
Yeah.
And actually he said that he said that the discoveries would come in order to help the human race awaken to their, full potential, meaning what we're talking right now, the dimensionality, switch into the different dimensionality. Yeah. But a lot of people find it like super controversial because he's, like, just because Edgar Cayce say, like, it's weird because I find there's this
dismissive
or like disrespectful energy that comes from a lot of people towards his teaching or towards ARE, and I can't understand why. Maybe because they see it as archaic and therefore irrelevant. But he's very much active, as a figure in the multidimensional form still right now. But yeah, so I think, so at some point, this is where it gets super quirky. I knew that he wanted me to go and visit his Hopkinsville, connect with him in Hopkinsville. And then in fact, since his death, maybe this is another add-on. So he was in Hopkinsville, and then he developed this power, and then people accepted him for this power, and he was open about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he started to realize that he can heal people like very easily, and then help them get multidimensional knowledge, larger aspect knowledge about their issues, and relay them into 3-dimensional form.
Yeah.
And so he basically married that. Like he saw his purpose on earth was to help as many people as possible, like to the point where the spirit world would actually tell him, you're running too fast. Like you're using up too much of your physical juice.
Yeah. Those
you can't sustain that.
Those channeling sessions really drained him, but still he would do like 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah. And they said that you slow down and taper off the amount of space, because you have to balance yourself between how much you channel. Like if we have
how much you give and how much you take.
Yeah. And like when you and I have a cacao ceremony, and depending on how much energy I'm bringing in and tuning in, sometimes it's really draining. And like for the next day or two, I almost need to like lay on couch and do nothing. But so he would just always push himself, because I think mentally, from the three-dimensional pain body standpoint, I think he was trying to make up for his perceived version of wrong that he did in a previous life. And so it was almost like paying penance in a way to offset his previous life of doing bad. Do you know what I mean? I think that was the eagerness that it came out of. And so anyway, he would like travel to New York and other big cities around the United States. And, like, let's say he would travel to New York and somebody would host him, and he would set up like reading sessions, mediumship to some extent, but mostly healing and reading sessions with people. And people would just come to him, by schedule, sit in the waiting room. And it was almost like a traveling doctor. And he did that for the longest time. And then at some point, he had a dream that he wanted to open his own facility, like a station facility. And he loved the beach. I'm going to get emotional. He was just so attached to the beach. So anyway, I'm not sure why I get so emotional about that portion of things. And so he decided to open his own center in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And so the ARE is still located in Virginia Beach.
Right.
And then the sad part is, because of the war, people did not have
the Great Depression.
Oh, the Great Depression.
Yeah. So he opened it he started in like the late 20s or early 30s, which is, turns out, not a great time to start a big investment project. And I think it bankrupted him.
Yeah. Well, no, people didn't have any income to spend on going to a healer.
Yeah.
And it takes money to sustain a facility.
Yeah. I don't even know if he finished building the facility. I thought it got like half built or something.
Yeah. No. So ARE, where they are right now, I want to say is still on the original place that he intended. But he abandoned that at some point and just moved back to Hopkinsville. I want to say that's how it happened. Either way, he is buried in Hopkinsville. And so, I'm connected with him energetically, and at the time not realizing how much, but the universe usually tells you what you need to do.
Yeah.
And in his case, he's like, no, you need to come to Hopkinsville.
Yeah.
And so, I know.
But it's Hopkinsville, and you've probably never heard of it. And that's why, because it is a little town.
Yeah.
In Kentucky.
Yeah. And honestly, it could have been a day trip, but I'm like, I'm not gonna risk this. So anyway, so that we have this.
So we need
to track back
to justify a reason to go drive 2 hours to Hopkinsville.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there, right?
If you think of like your quintessential small American town, that's Hopkinsville.
Yeah. And the only thing they have going for them is the fact that Edgar Cayce was from there.
Right. They had some.
I think they had one industry. Like, what was the Hopkinsville's?
They had some. Was it a big hotel or something that burned down twice or something?
It has a weird history. It has train tracks going through the middle of the city.
Yeah. Right next, really close to it is the city of. I don't remember. It's where the first documented UFO landing was.
Oh, it's not a city. I think it's in Hopkinsville, but it's called King something, right?
Is it? K? It starts with a K, and it's where the term "little green men" comes from.
Yeah.
Which is a misquote, because the people who saw it said "little gray men," but the reporter somehow wrote down or heard "little green men," and so now it's always "little green men," even though "little gray men" was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, but.
Kelly? Is it called Kelly, Kentucky?
UFO. Kelly Hopkinsville.
What was that? 1940s?
Also known as Hopkinsville Goblins case or Kelly Green Men case. Is claimed to be a close encounter with extraterrestrial beings that occurred in communities in Kelly and Hopkinsville, which Kelly's like basically like a tiniest little
suburb.
It's not even a suburb. It's like a couple of houses right outside of Hopkinsville, but I don't even know why it's called Kelly as opposed to just Hopkinsville.
What year?
1955.
55, okay.
So August 21st and 22nd, 1955. It's actually ufologists referred as the most significant and well-documented case in the UFO incidents.
Yeah.
Skeptics maintain that there's no actual physical evidence or whatever, of course, but there's always the skeptics. The claim is 5 adults and 7 children arrive at Hopkinsville police station claiming that small alien creature from spaceship has been attacking their farmhouse and that they had been holding them off with gunfire for nearly 4 hours. 2 of the adults, Elmer Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor,
Hopkinsville.
claimed that they have been shooting at a few short, dark figures who repeatedly popped up at the doorway and peered into the windows. The Kentucky New Era, the first paragraph, reports the incidents increased the number of creatures to 12 to 15 inches. I don't know why. Concerned about the possibility of gun battle between local citizens, 4 city police officers and 5 state troopers and 3 deputy sheriffs and 4 military police officers from the nearby Fort Campbell drove to Sutton farmhouse located near Kelly, and their search yielded no evidence apart from broken windows, holes in the screens, and possibly a result of the gunfire. Yep. So I don't know.
There's a little park there with like a UFO shaped thing to climb on.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is 55, right?
That's
And
10
of course,
years.
yeah, and of course, he died in 45.
Yeah.
But no, I think the whole area is kind of
It's coming up on the what is that, 70-year anniversary
of that incident.
I mean, in like a week.
Wait,
or two.
what's the year anniversary of his death? Because it was also
I
45.
thought you said January.
Yeah, January. So we just passed.
We just passed that. Yeah.
I was gonna say I was gonna search for industry because I think there's something there that is like, oh, really? I didn't know that was there. It has like one industry. It has like one.
Was it maple syrup?
Manufacturer.
Was it maple syrup? It was something weird.
Well, one that you grow a lot of tobacco, but Kentucky grows a lot of tobacco and a lot of corn. But there is some sort of weird manufacturer. Anyway, it's irrelevant. But yeah, so they have so in Hopkinsville downtown, they have a museum. It's a really quaint, cute museum.
Right. It's not the Edgar Cayce Museum, it's the Hopkinsville Museum, but Edgar Cayce features prominently in it.
Well, not prominent. Like one features the alien sighting. 2 is like the fire that they had.
They had some big fire in some hotel or something.
Yeah, and then Edgar Cayce has a section there.
Yeah.
So anyway, maybe I'll backtrack. So, spoiler alert, we do end up making it to Hopkinsville. So all along the way, I know that he wants me to come to Hopkinsville.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and we keep not going for some reason.
We keep on not going, but I'm like, I just keeps on coming up. And for those of you, if you ever have this thing that the universe keeps on tapping you with and you know it, just listen. Like, and maybe like don't delay it. Don't delay it and actually follow through. But you will know, like the universe will just keep on having this in your face and in your face and in your face.
Yeah.
And so for the longest time, I even said to one of our friends, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to Hopkinsville because he keeps on telling me I need to go and I need to go and I need to go. So anyway, now I'm obviously a stubborn donkey. And it's Hopkinsville, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? And so this is as hilarious as it gets. We go on a fall break vacation.
First, talk about the route that couldn't find anywhere, and you called the store in Hopkinsville.
So yeah, we have.
What was it?
We have COVID, right? And then, so I had COVID before the United States admitted there was such thing as COVID. So this is actually December of 2019.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, I could tell that this is not normal.
Yeah.
But this is before we even hear of the word COVID, right? I didn't even know if we know that China is having some sort of outbreak or not.
And when we're on a trip in, we went to like Louisiana.
Yeah, and I'm actively sick.
Yeah, you're doing pretty bad.
Yeah, I was doing pretty bad. And so we come back.
You're so out of it that you used my toothbrush. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go get me a new one, especially since you're not feeling very well.
No, the amount of hallucinations, and of course, like because I was on the trip and I was trying to make it through,
Yeah.
I'm usually not the one to take medicine, but I'm like,
I know. Yeah.
But I'm like, oh no,
you
I
sent
have
us
to.
out to CVS or something, or Walgreens to get. And I'm like, all right, well, some of this and some of this and some of this. And
Yeah, so I'm like a Dayquil and NyQuil, which basically I think it gives you hallucinations more so than normal. Like I already have like, when I say hallucination, it puts you in this zonk-out state to where more things come into you. And so I had all kinds of like crazy dreams. And of course on NyQuil, the dreams are really strange anyway. So yeah, so I have COVID, and then wait, this is the first time I had COVID, or is that the second time I had COVID that I'm having effects, or like something's not right, but it's not bad, but I know something is off. And so I get a message. Now I know it's from him, but at the time I'm like, I don't know, that I need to take milkweed.
Milkweed, that's what it was.
And I'm like, milkweed? And so everything that I come across, like Emanable and I are watching Tinkerbell something adventure, and they talk about fairies drinking milkweed.
Yeah.
And then there's something else, and then there's milkweed in there, milkweed, and I'm like,
seeing it over and over and over.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have no. So I start researching.
Yeah, it's poisonous.
Well, no. Well, no. So obviously, if you research anything, it's poisonous, right? Okay. And so I think it's him who basically tells me that I need to have milkweed, and he keeps on telling me have milkweed, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do, and so like I don't know what form that I have to take milkweed in, and so I start researching, and I Google like milkweed, where to buy milkweed or whatever, and literally one of the places that comes up is a little, I say little, quite literally little, not like I'm not belittling, it's a tiny little shop, herbal shop / spiritual shop in Hopkinsville that's called Milkweed.
Right.
And I'm like, Edgar Cayce healing, here I am.
It's like across the street
from his museum.
From the museum.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. And so I am like, okay, I called the lady up. I'm like, okay, this is going to sound totally crazy, but I'm being told to take milkweed. And, she's...
And she's like, watch out, it's poisonous.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, she's like, I wouldn't recommend taking milkweed. I'm like, but I'm being told to take milkweed. And so the shop is called Milkweed. And then, so she doesn't sell it. And she says, don't take it. And so be cautious. But then I end up doing a little bit more research. And so one, just an FYI, if somebody is struggling with post-COVID symptoms, milkweed is a possible solution depending on the after effects you're having of COVID symptoms.
Right.
And then so the way I ended up doing it is you can go online and people sell ground up milkweed root. So they harvest the root of milkweed just like you would,
right. The root is not poisonous.
Yeah. Well,
I think.
And so they harvest the root of milkweed, and then they chop, like dried, I think, possibly. And then they ground it up and chop it up. And then how most people ingest it or take it is you would brew it just like you would loose tea. And then, let that brew in warm water, strain that off. And then you drink the liquid. And the straining takes a couple of straining, because if it's ground up, it's a little. And so one, I did not add anything to it. I was not recommended to add anything to it, but it is difficult to drink. And so I had it for 2 weeks, every other day to begin with, maybe, or every 2 days. So like I would take it, skip 2 days, take it, skip 2 days. But to begin with, it was like...
It was on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yeah, to begin with, it was like, take it, skip a day, take it, skip a day, first week. And the second week, I think I went to take it, skip 2 days. And so for 2 weeks, and I think I brewed it maybe 2 or 3 times, but you could brew a cup at a time.
Yeah.
But I brewed it in like a teapot, like a Ukrainian or Japanese style pot, and then strained it, and then I would just dilute it and drink it that way. So side note, Edgar Cayce prescription, milkweed root for post-COVID symptoms.
Right. So that was an interesting way to poke Hopkinsville back at you.
Yeah, right. And so like that was another reminder of like you need to go to Hopkinsville.
But that's not the crazy one.
Yeah, that's not the crazy one. So I'm like, okay, I still need to go to Hopkinsville. And now I thank Edgar Cayce for the milkweed thing. Research wise, I don't even know if it matters or not. There's something with milkweed root and what it does to post-COVID symptoms, maybe lung related, maybe circulation related. But whatever it is, it cleanses the system out and it helps you process it and then basically kind of shift whatever it is that COVID does. So anyway, so then I don't know how many years later, because again, I'm still stubborn. We have yet to go to Hopkinsville.
I think this was 22. We went to Portugal.
Okay, so then we decide that we're going to go to Portugal. And I know like we go to Portugal and we travel all over Portugal, but one of our last stop is Sintra, which is kind of like this huge spiritual area that has its own esoteric teachings and like backgrounds.
Has the initiation well.
Initiation wells, a lot of Knights Templar energy.
All of Portugal is a lot of Knights Templar.
Yeah, so entire Portugal is Knights Templar, but the Sintra in particular had Knights Templar stationed there. The town was Tamar.
Yeah.
A town of I'm sorry. The Tamar is the Knights Templar castle, slightly north of Lisbon, but Sintra is kind of like right outside of Lisbon. And so we go there, and we're being called to go to Sintra, and so we're just kind of exploring. There's all these amazing mansions that are now converted to these beautiful touring spots, and then just crazy.
There's the go ahead.
And there's the castles
Pina Castle.
Pina castles. And so we are standing in line at Pina Castle to get in. This is October. Like, this is not prime tourist season. This is just October. And I hear an animated voice of 4 people behind me. And I can, it registers with me because they're American.
It's English.
They're English. And then I know they're Southern and Midwestern. And I'm like, you can tell their accent. And I'm like, that is really, that's close to us. I can tell that that's close to us. And so me being
Portugal is not the typical place that Americans go. I mean, plenty go there, but it's not
usually during the summer
or something.
Yeah. So for us at that time to come across Americans and much less a southern.
Much west.
Yeah. Why west?
I thought you were going to say Midwest.
Yeah, southern Midwestern Americans was like
it's pretty rare.
Yeah, so it's pretty rare, and they're like, of course, animated all southern, and I'm like. And I'm like, okay. And of course, obviously, I'm like, I'm sorry, where are you from? Right. And so we start talking and so the 2 of them are from Georgia, somewhere in Georgia. And we're like, oh yeah, we're from Kentucky. And, I tell them and, it's just this little connection across the world. You come across someone who's a state away from you. Right. And I don't know. Oh, I say we're from Kentucky. And the other guy goes, oh, I'm from Kentucky too. And he's like, yeah, I'm from Hopkinsville. And of course, at that point, I'm like, oh my God, Edgar Cayce, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so at that point, I know that this is on purpose. I'm across the world. And once again, you're bringing someone to me who's from Hopkinsville.
You can't even write this.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, fine. When I come home, we're going to go to Hopkinsville. And so then nonchalantly I go, oh yeah, Edgar Cayce's hometown. And he's like, yeah. And he has this look on his face.
Like somebody knows about Hopkinsville and Edgar Cayce?
And he's like, and he gives me this look. He's like, well, I'm Edgar Cayce's nephew. And I'm like, what? And so at that point, this universal nonchalantness has pressed itself past Hopkinsville to the point where he has me meeting his relatives across the world.
Incredible.
And I'm like, okay, there's like no way I can not go to Hopkinsville.
Was his last name Cayce?
I don't remember if his last name was Cayce or if he was like one of the sister's sons who was married. And so he's still, this is, so at this point now I have met Edgar Cayce's nephew and then his wife, then we started a conversation, and she is a I don't know what the professional name for this, but like she does nails and hair. And everybody in Hopkinsville knows that she's married to an Edgar Cayce. And so like, and like Hopkinsville cherishes him and like his legacy.
Yeah.
And so like, a lot of the times during their nail sessions, they just talk about Edgar Cayce and their connection. And then just, he's still kind of alive in that town. Or at least the town is trying to keep him alive in some way. Besides the fact that, IRE is trying to keep him alive and has us connected to him. And so, yeah, as far as synchronicities and how adamant he was about making sure that I made to Hopkinsville, that was just universe, right? And so come, I don't remember, like we make a plan. I think it was the following May, because we usually try to escape Louisville because Derby comes in.
Yeah.
And so come the following May, we go to Hopkinsville.
Yeah.
And we spend a night there. Because I thought it was important to spend a night there. Like we could have went there one day.
Yeah, I don't remember. Where did we spend the night? Was it in Hopkinsville?
It was right outside of Hopkinsville. Because like, the hotels there, I don't even know if Hopkinsville has a hotel. Do you know what I mean?
It burned down.
Well, that one burned down, yeah. And so, yeah, we go there. We go to where the sighting was in Kelly, and it currently is a playground. And it has like a little memorial for it. Like it has a little design flying saucer that's there.
There's a sign.
There's a sign for it. And then we go to the Hopkinsville Museum.
Yeah.
And then we stop by the milkweed store. And the lady obviously
she remembered you.
Well, once she remembered me, but before I even talked to her that I was the one who called you about milkweed, she could tell, like energetically.
You're a crazy person.
She could tell.
I like it.
Well, no,
This is my crazy person.
Like, and she runs a spiritual store. And so if you're spiritually aware enough and somebody comes in, you can tell the frequency. Like there's a lot of times I come across people who do energy work akin to my energy work. And I can just read them, right? And like we kind of exchange looks and we kind of move on from each other. But like higher frequency wise, there's this greeting to you and greeting to you. Thank you for your work, and then thank me for my work, and we just kind of move on without even verbal exchanges.
We got some really good tea tree oil.
Oh yeah, So right, like
Australian,
like people. Maybe IRE does, but I know the gift shop there, people sell his remedies. Like they're not branded as Edgar Cayce, but they're like based on his suggestions. Like people have, that would be an amazing thing to do, is run an herbal store based on his, like have a whole section at an herbal store dedicated to Edgar Cayce's teaching.
Tea tree oil, we use it for I don't know if he recommends it for that. But
he does.
We use it for mosquito bites and stuff like that.
He recommends it for all kinds of stuff, burns and things like that. Yeah. And so we have his recipe. It's Australian tea tree oil, but you can use tea oil for anything. And like I just buy Trader Joe's tea tree oil, and I use that as well too. But yeah, the Australian tea tree oil is just slightly different. But yeah, like I go there and we connect. I connect to him there in Hopkinsville. Like his energy is still very much present. And this is another crazy story that I want to say is, I get called to go to see his grave.
Yeah.
And it's this little tiny cemetery in Hopkinsville. You can imagine how tiny old cemeteries in Hopkinsville look like. And I go there, and the kids are like, kids are like in Ukraine, it was very common to go and pay respect to somebody at the grave. But for kids, it's not. And so it feels, for them, and I don't know if it felt weird for you or not, to be at a cemetery visiting a grave of a person that you never technically knew.
Right.
But like, and so this is the cool part. We get there, and I guess I thought, well, maybe we'll find his grave and we'll visit it. Like I didn't have a plan. And we go there, and I noticed that a lot of people bring little tokens or little things that they'll leave on his grave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
And how do we find his grave? I don't remember. Was there a sign? Was there a sign to it, or did we have to look up on the internet where it was?
no, I think I just looked up on the internet. Like,
Okay.
I think you
Because
just
in the entire cemetery, finding one grave is tricky. We
yeah, I
found it
don't know.
somehow.
The cemetery is tiny. And
Still, you know, if you were to
and
walk
maybe
around and read
somebody,
everybody's name,
maybe it was on the internet. I'm sure if you go on Google and you Google like where's Edgar Cayce's grave, like somebody.
I'm sure there's a dot on the map.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe at the cemetery. You know, for all I know, on the Google's map at the cemetery,
And
they
then
have
it's just a
marked
GPS.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably what it was. But we get there and people leave these little.
Yeah. There's seashells. There's
no. There's no
there's no
seashell.
seashell. There's flowers. There's coins and buttons and.
There's like little trinkets, like little statuettes
Yeah.
and things like that. So people pay tribute to him and I guess maybe ask him for help or whatever. And then they leave a little offering, right? Just like in Buddhism, you would go to a temple and there's an exchange, an energetic exchange. This is an energetic exchange. And I'm like, oh, I think I need to leave him something. And it has to be something that means something to me.
Right.
And this is another thing. This is obviously universally perfect. The Christmas before or the New Year's before, we traveled to the Carolinas and collected seashells in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And then we had like a coffee cup that was
like a hotel coffee cup
that was left over. Like we had it, you know, we left the hotel, had the hotel coffee cup, and then we collected the shells and put it into this cup. And then the lazy me, which was obviously on purpose, didn't take it out like in the back of our car, like where the third seat flap opens.
Yeah.
There's a cup holder that obviously we never use because we don't use the third seat, but that's where we left the cup.
Yeah.
And it has been left there since January. And this is May.
Yeah.
So like it sits there for 4 months. And I'm like, I wonder what I can leave him. And then it was like a light bulb moment, another Edgar Cayce moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, he loves the beach. And so I'm going to cry again. And so, yeah, I just go into this cup where maybe you should take over talking.
Yeah. And so we fish out some nice seashells and place them on the grave. It was it struck me as like, wow, this really should have been taken out of the car the day we got back from that first trip. And for some reason,
yeah, right.
We didn't. I mean, we took everything else out of the trunk. Why would we leave this coffee cup full of seashells? It makes no sense. And, you know, it probably was rattling around in the back as we were driving for the next 5 months. And we didn't even take it out when we packed the car to go on this trip. It really makes no sense at all.
Yeah, right. Because that would have been our next driving trip. And we did not bother taking it out.
Why would we not take it out any of those days across 5 months? But we didn't. And it was great because it was there for a reason. Yeah,
no, I think he wanted like seashells on his grave.
Yeah. Right. I think it was a whole line of the Cayce family buried in a line. And, you know, he's got a lot of pieces of flair.
Yeah. No, I'm having a really hard time not crying about it.
No, I mean he's obviously very cherished by Hopkinsville, and you know everybody who is familiar with him, you know, I think holds him in the highest regard, highest respect for, you know, kind of being a pioneer and like making it kind of normalizing something that, you know, was maybe still is kind of out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
no,
really
I think I knew him in my past life, right? And so I think the emotional connection that I have is just knowing him and then missing him in this life. Just really strange. So now I know that I have known him in my past lives. So I want to say it was in Egypt, maybe. And so his resonance is just so big and so large. And then I remembered him in his, like, the form that I used to know him. And then I remembered our connection in that form. So, like, energetically, right? There's just I miss that. But like now, I very much am connected to him in the multidimensional form.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so just two other side stories. At the time, so oh my gosh, this is another synchronicity. So my channeling comes on board, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do something with this. And the channeling is usually so prophetic that I heard somebody else say this recently, which is totally, the case. When you get it, you feel so much importance behind it that it's almost difficult not to feel like you need to do something with it. Like there's this urgency that comes with the message. Like the prophetic nature of things makes it important to pass. Like now I understand that I don't have to sink into that urgency, but at the time it felt so urgent. And then I'm like, okay, besides me just channeling every week or so and then posting them on the website, which I still have them posted there, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to channel a whole book out. And so at the time I'm channeling the whole book out, and then comes across to me a writing class through Edgar Cayce Institute.
Yeah.
And ran by, I think he's not their CEO. They've had like CEO change over the last several, but this is like, let's say their director or whatever it is. And he has this class. It's not a live class. It's just like a class you can buy that is pre-recorded. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to take this class. And so I take this class, and it was just basically like his idea of like what makes a good flow or a good article, whatever it was. So I don't know why I was guided to take this class.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, one of the portions of the classes is you write something, you write a piece following his suggestions or whatever. And then like you just send it to him and he comments on it. And so I didn't even think anything of it, but right, whenever I'm committed to something, such as taking a class, I'm like, well, obviously I'm going to write a piece and I'm going to, like send it to him. And I didn't even care about his comments. And so I sent it to him, and he comes back. He's like, do you mind if we publish it on our website? So like first thing of my experience with IRE as I do this is, I get published. It's not a big deal, but I get published about this thing on their website. And then later, for my birthday, that was one of them happened on my it was for my birthday. That happened for my birthday. I wrote this thing, and by the time I ended up finishing it, by the time the request came to say, hey, can we publish this on our website, was for my birthday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just a crazy gift for my birthday to have this connection and to have this happen. A couple of years later, I get an email from the same person asking if I want to contribute an article to their magazine that is going to like be publishing in January or whatnot. And it's like a paid endeavor. So like not that the paid portion mattered because I would have done it for free. But yeah, right. And then I have another connection with him where I write an article into his magazine.
Yeah.
So it's not even anything other than there are these little nuggets of reinforced connection that he kind of like almost always comes around in some way, and 2 times in a row for my birthday, which was like just most beautiful gifts. Yeah, I'm gonna start crying again. Oh yeah, and I had him in one of my dreams where I saw him in his childhood, and the household that he grew up in, and I had a whole experience of like the feeling of him being a child, and like the language that they spoke in his do you remember it? Because I told you about it, and it was like tying his childhood and then like prophecy of the future, and those two things tied together. But his dad was speaking to him, and he used the word smokes. All right, and so I knew it was
right.
I knew it was me traveling in the past into something that he wanted to show me at that time in space about his childhood,
Yeah.
and I knew it was real as opposed to a dream, because one, like I could viscerally feel the wood floors that he had in his home. And then like the separation of the wood planks, how thick the line is before. And some of the parts were worn out. And then I felt the energy of his father that honestly I didn't love, but like that let me know how he was raised then. And then he would smoke, like the father would smoke all the time. And then so like it was, and then like his siblings and how he grew up, like he showed me this entire brushstroke of his childhood. Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of like the wrap up of my story of Edgar Cayce / his past / of what he was. But I want to finish it by saying like he is currently still and was and has always been in his multidimensional form.
Yeah.
And he does currently in the multidimensional form oversee and has always overseen an Egyptian temple structure.
Do you think he is a reincarnation of Thoth?
I don't know. Some people have said that he's an incarnation of Thoth. But like they also think that Thoth is an incarnation of Hermes, right? And then they also think they are an incarnation of the guy who people cite at Mount Shasta, Saint Germain. So some people think that he's just like a reiteration of all of those beings.
Yeah.
But I want to say like how you come into your 3-dimensional form is as a choice into emanation, into a personal experience. And it's kind of, it can be like an offshoot to experience a form of reality through this density. And then you can choose to do that and then still find a spiritual path within. And most people who are already like awakened and actually are already a very multidimensional being can choose to have an earthly incarnation and present themselves in 3-dimensional form for a period of time. But usually they always take on and fulfilling some sort of larger multidimensional mission in their 3-dimensional form.
Right.
And so his multidimensional form, where he exists vibrationally, never left his larger purpose and his larger teachings and the management of the Egyptian temple, where he kind of oversees and oversights the energy. And it's almost like I treat it as a you could say it's not exactly what people think of a portal. People think a portal is something that you travel through from point A to point B, but a portal is also something that you use to disseminate up and down an energetic band. So you're right. There's all of these different interpretations of reality that exist on different dimensions or different frequencies, and so a portal can be used to come in and end it on the 3-dimensional frequency, and then you're like, if you're so rudimentary, you don't even understand that there's such thing as energy, and then you basically go into a subdued meditative state that you put yourself into, and then this portal allows you to transverse up and down any offshoot of that interpretation. And so because I'm so connected with him, and I think has always been connected to him, and then also am connected to the temple that he oversights and / I used to work in, I think I can just go into that temple. And then to begin with, I had him guide me like where I needed to go.
Yeah.
But now, because I'm connected with him, I can pipe into that frequency. So it's not like a slow projection in, it's just a hoop in. And then when I'm there, then I'm able to go up and down the scales. And quite literally, like how you go up and down the scales is kind of like imaginary based endeavor of what it means to you to go up and down the scales.
Whether that's like an escalator or an elevator or who knows.
Yeah. And that's what I want to say is like a lot of people think that, and this is maybe where the disconnect comes with Edgar Cayce's teachings. A lot of people think that you need to look at his teaching and follow everything verbatim. and then like that is the set way. Like because Edgar Cayce said it has to be this way. But I think what he wanted to communicate, and what everybody who teaches higher knowledge communicates, is it is all based on your intention. And this is just his interpretation of the intention. But because when he was born, most of the people surrendered their sovereignty to this outside entity and branded him as a prophet, it allowed him to enter into their intentional field. And because they believed in him so much, the healing happened through the facilitation of him as a conduit into something that they had access to all along. But because they felt like they needed him to facilitate this access point, it worked.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the healing was actually happening
within,
to them, by them.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that
like he did not give you the potion of cranberries and dandelions. You made the brew.
Right. And
but
in
you
fact,
believed that it was somehow magic because Edgar Cayce said so.
Right. It's almost, calling it a placebo is close, but not completely accurate. It's like he's given you a possible key that if you believe it, it will work.
Yeah,
At the same time, he's given you a method of making your own keys too.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be cranberries and dandelions. It could be bananas and apples. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what it is. You don't, and then we really don't need any physical thing at that level either.
Yeah. What I'm curious right now is, I should look it up, is what the remedy for cranberries and dandelions is.
What it's good for?
Well, like what he says it is meant for.
Yeah.
Because there's something there that I'm obviously not registering that he's told me to say that is important right now.
Apples or dandelions? Cranberries and dandelions?
Cranberries and dandelions.
Cranberries, which we didn't put in the thing yesterday.
Yeah, but cranberries, remember the emergency landing episode that we had where the guy was having his thing? They told me that the cranberries were super important in order to...
That was crazy.
Yeah.
It was for diabetic.
Yeah, well, he was diabetic and he was having an insulin shock attack, right? Is that what it's called? When you go into a shock?
Yeah.
Where
I don't know if his blood sugar was too high or too low, or insulin too high or
but
too
whatever
low.
It was, yeah. I knew that he needed cranberries.
And then when you talked to them later and you found out what it was, yes, actually, that turns out that would have helped.
Yeah. So
validation.
Yeah. Right. Synchronicity of the world validation. But yeah, whatever this is something.
I want to say that my grandmother used to make dandelion tea out of the leaves.
Well, Uncle Rob, so Elliot's uncle is a naturopath, and so he's basically kind of like, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but back in the olden days when you used to talk to him, and he said that dandelion powder is good. And we have dandelion powder that I used to drink.
Oh, that's right. It was nasty, wasn't it?
It's not too dissimilar from milkweed.
Yeah, it's very earthy.
Very earthy. Yeah, milkweed is very earthy. And
it's like you're drinking dirt almost.
I mean, it's obviously not dirt.
I mean, taste-wise.
Oh yeah, it's very, very earthy. But yeah, I had there for a little bit. I went through a thing where I had dandelion powder. I don't know if we still have it or not, but I don't know. Something I need to look that up.
Put a little bit in the cacao.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, our cacao has all kinds of stuff in it that is just more than cacao.
I think cacao will overpower the dandelion.
Yeah, yeah. Cacao will overpower anything. Yeah. So what I want to say is, for anyone who's being called to connect to him, or who doesn't know what he is right now, and he has always been, he's a conduit into a larger realm of informational experience. And, obviously he used that in his three-dimensional form by to bring in informational experience and then either heal for it or guide people through it or whatever. So that is how his three-dimensional emanation worked out in the lifetime as Edgar Cayce. But, I still refer to him as Edgar Cayce, but his priestly line that he oversees and then manages functions as it's the same job, just on a multi-dimensional level.
Yeah.
Is that he oversees emanation of information or dissemination of information through his form. And then if you are in three-dimensional form, you can connect to him because he's always acting as a conduit to make the transitional phase between three-dimensional earth connection density easier into multidimensional realm. So like he explored the Akashic record a lot, and a lot of people write about Akashic record and explore Akashic record and then like summarize what Edgar Cayce said about it and, things like that. But to some extent, like I think his priestly role in Egypt, that is what an Akashic record is like a library of everything that ever is or was or will be, right? And all that is just information. It's like a database, right? But it's database without time and space and all possible possibilities. So it's like, right?
Right.
There's no past, future, or present. There's all possibilities of past, future, and present, and the multitude of universes of past, future, and present. So as far as time and space continuum, it takes out the time and space continuum, and you can go into it and read out the best version possible out of the Akashic record.
Right. It lets you, like our time and space thing, it lets you almost jump universes, timelines, or something like that.
Yeah. Right. And so if nothing else right now, his goal is to still be here for people if they wanted to go into an exploratory realm of possibilities and like either rewriting the past, rewriting the future, or choosing the best path of action for the desired outcome into the future. If that you believe in time and space, if you believe in time and space, then by default, then you believe that there is a good way and a bad way, right? And then if you believe that, then you believe, and then if you are spiritually aware enough, then you will be able to step back and look at the optimal way to propagate whatever your I guess I would not use prime directive, but if there is a prime directive, then the best way to propagate the most optimal outcome for humanity, and then you can basically plop that outcome for humanity out of a database, or we call it Akashic record or whatever, and then make it happen in a three-dimensional form.
Right. It lets you kind of choose your adventure.
Yeah. But in this case, from like a higher standpoint of a higher guidance, higher goal.
Yeah.
Higher, right? It's not like, oh, I want my pancake to taste the best today. You're not choosing how your pancakes taste.
Yeah.
But you're choosing, right? If you come here and there's this directive or there is this calling within you, and you know that your job is to get humanity or whoever closer to the proximity of that fulfillment, then you can choose path in the world and guide the path in the world energetically, that without constricting free will, just simply have people gravitate towards opening of their own density, right? Because there's no solution to the future outside of everybody releasing density that drags the cumulative down.
Yeah.
And that density is nothing but unacceptance of self. And so anything you can do on earth to actually propagate acceptance of self as is, and then start loving that entire entity, that will be the only solution that works forward, that does not result in any deviation from optimal. I would just use the word optimal. Yeah. So yeah, super special.
Yeah, I recommend anybody that can go to Hopkinsville. Go to the gravesite. Go to the milkweed store. Go to the museum.
Yeah.
Spend some time there. If there you can feel it. It is a special place. Go to the UFO landing place. It's a special place, and it's like, not a big town, but it's
Well,
There's
like,
something there.
right, there are places that allow beings of higher frequency to disseminate into three-dimensional space.
Yeah.
And the space within itself has to hold the potential of that opening. And of course, then the parents have to be in alignment to accept the child of that dissemination as well. This is from the higher standpoint. And so Kentucky has a lot of these energy points that are portal-like energies, right?
It's really close to the land between the lakes, which is this weird area. There's two massive lakes on either side of it. Hopkinsville isn't in it, but it's not terribly far.
Yeah. But it's interesting energy. But I would always be vigilant or at least cautious about what energy you interact with, because if it's an open portal energy, it's open to anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just set an intention for love and light, and then not in a judgmental type of way, but be a conduit of love when you go there, and then allow that conduit to be propagated. So yeah, I don't know how many people will listen to this and go, yeah, I'm gonna go to Hopkinsville. Maybe an easier place to go is ARE. Now, I've never been, so I don't know how much of him is still left there. But they have a lot of efforts trying to propagate his teachings through. So, yep.
Thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you.